Now, let's proceed to the last section entitled The Transcendental Hero. So, in this section, I am going to uh, discuss the impact of Rizal and his lasting contributions to the Philippine society. And of course, this section presents the reasons why Rizal is considered a national hero. Okay, so from what have been said, okay, so from what have been said about him in the previous chapters of our lesson, it is evident how great Jose Rizal is. Okay, so his greatness did not fade even after his death. More scholars from both the Philippines and around the world studied about him and his contributions to Filipino national consciousness. Whether those studies compliment or criticize Rizal, the power of Rizal's character and influence that transcended the geographical and generational is still unquestionable. Okay, so from the annals of history, it can be noted that despite his middle-class status, he also struggled and suffered because of the prevailing social conditions during those times. He was so talented and skilled that he always had the advantage over his contemporaries. And in terms of education and the fight against the excesses of the friar-led Spanish colonial rule. Okay, so his leadership skills were also exceptional as he led the propaganda movement, the unwavering campaign for political and social reforms. He showcased his writing skills when he wrote for the La Solidaridad to translate the pleas of the propagandistas. And of course, Rizal's aspiration is for what is ideal never ended. And the aspiration, or this aspiration, took the form of fighting against injustice in society. His fervent goal while growing up and being educated was the liberation of his fellow Filipinos from the bondage of political tyranny and the colorist misery and ignorance associated with it. And of course, hindi natin maiaakila, the first Filipino, Jose Rizal, was the central figure of the revolutionary movement. He was a poet, a novelist, an ophthalmologist, and a historian, a doctor, a polemical essayist, and moralist. So the first Filipino, as evidenced by his novel, especially Noli Me Tangere, who pictured the Philippines as a nation, even though those who lived in it had no common name yet to refer to themselves. And apart from that, the pejorative terms Indio and Mestizo that the Spanish colonizers called them. Rizal then was the first to imagine this social whole, which explains why he is remembered today as the first Filipino. Well, he is also the first one to use the term Filipino to prove that the Filipino natives had a culture of their own prior to colonization and that they were not inferior to the white man. He studied Philippine history. His interest in this aspect of our nationhood was what compelled him to annotate Antonio de Morga's Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas. Rizal shattered the myth of the indolence of the Filipinos because he believed that the Filipino is a worthy race. He likewise intensively studied Tagalog and attempted to produce comprehensive Tagalog dictionary to slam Filipinos who belittled their native tongue. He still embraced the term Indio despite all negative connotations and turned it into a term of dignity and nobility. And of course, it is also noteworthy to mention that Rizal's foremost dream was for the Philippines to be known as nation of writers and intellectuals. He aimed at making the Filipino race known in the world. Rizal's constant effort to improve himself showed how much he valued his own education. He even took sculpting and painting aside from the prescribed academic subjects. Diba? To further improve his craft, he learned other languages, including German, which enabled him to translate Friedrich Schiller's Wilhelm Tell into Tagalog. And finally, he constantly kept himself updated on the current trends in science and philosophy by reading and attending scholarly dialogues. Rizal hoped that these achievements would influence all Filipinos to build a legacy. Okay? And now, let's talk about his ideals and philosophies naman. Diba, we all know that Rizal's achievements secured him a status unparalleled by any other Filipino, not in his time and at present. His greatness can be seen in the different ideals and philosophies he wanted his generation and the future generation to live by. And I have listed here some ideals and philosophies of him. First is his social philosophy, deals with man in society, influential factors in human life, racial problems, social conflicts, and social justice. This also includes poverty, wealth, social ideals, reforms, youth, greatness, and history and progress, and of course the future Philippines. And the second one is the colonies should not be abused but instead trained for self-governance. And the third one, contrary to what the Spaniards taught, Rizal held that salvation was not only for Catholics, that fasting is not a sacrifice. He did not agree with the sale of religious items such cross, medals, rosaries, and the like. And of course, people should aim for study of human behavior and tendencies of being good and evil. Ayan. The body of knowledge that a person should acquire includes the wisdom of humanhood developed through a people's experiences in society. And also the last philosophy and ideals of him, education was foremost for Rizal. He believed that education is vital in national development as it frees people from ignorance. Education can save the country from domination. Okay, so as transcendental hero, okay, we all know that Rizal is an epitome of everything mentioned in the definitions of a hero. He is a towering figure of the propaganda movement and other affairs of the society. Well, basically, his works, achievements, and contributions in various fields have been remarkably influential. Rizal, in the face of danger, was bold despite the odds. And lastly, he was honored even more after his death because of the legacies he left behind. Sabi rin dito, no law, executive order, or proclamation has been enacted or issued that officially proclaims any Filipino historical figure as a national hero. Thus, Rizal's title is sometimes questioned. Accordingly, the title that Rizal's holds is more a tribute to the continued veneration or acclamation of the people towards him. In 1898, General Emilio Aguinaldo issued a decree that declares December 30 as a day of national mourning for the heroes and victims of the Philippine Revolution, including Rizal. And of course, way back then in 1900s, American Governor General and Chairman of the Second Philippine Commission, William Howard Taft, suggested to revere Rizal as national hero. This is to recognize his contributions to the significant social transformations that took place in the Philippines. So instead of a single law hailing a national hero, laws and proclamations were made in honor of all Filipino national heroes. In fact, in 1996, he was declared as the Year of Philippine Heroes in time for the centennial anniversary of the Philippine Revolution, marked by the cry of Pugad Lawin in 1896. Then, August 30 was declared as National Heroes Day. Okay, so despite of the absence of an official declaration, Rizal has been a symbol of what the Filipinos lack as a race. So this is ironic since Rizal was in search of a true Filipino identity which turned out to be his own self. And to date, Rizal is the most popular Filipino whose portraits and monuments are seen not only in the Philippines but around the world. So So Rizal is a Filipino hero because he embodied the qualities of a true hero and made Filipinos realize the best of what they can be despite the difficult social conditions. So both his struggles and triumphs inspired and ignite the Katipunan-led revolution and making the Philippines the first independent republic in Asia. And up to this day, is still what Rizal fought for that leads this generation to continue realizing his dream of a nation where every Filipino is truly free. And that's the end of our lesson for this semester. Congratulations, everyone, and good luck to your upcoming or succeeding years in studying in Batangas State University. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned something.